tonight for the lamb cheesesteak chaffle sandwiches.
Man, doesn't that just sound tasty?
It's going to be something.
I'm all about this.
Yeah. It's a great way to use some leftovers we're going to do tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see who we got watching here. Evelyn's in the house.
Hi, Evelyn.
She says hello, friends. And by the way, guys, also before I get too into the comment section, can you all let us know if you can see us and or hear us, okay? We were having a bit of an issue with our microphones, so I just want to make sure they're working okay.
Make sure you're good to go.
So let us know if you can hear us.
Absolutely.
Patricia Hoffman is here.
Hi, Patricia.
She says, needed a chaffle carnivore version. I've tried and failed a few times now.
I am working on one. I don't have a specific chaffle recipe just nailed down for you yet, but I've just about got it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the one that I made for tonight, and then we're going to work on perfecting that recipe, and that'll be coming soon.
I love it. Janelle is here.
Hi, Janelle.
She says, hello, everyone. Lamb cheesesteak. Now that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I love a good lamb. Hey, speaking of lamb, what video do you got coming out?
Yeah, well, the reason I have a whole bunch of leftover lamb is because the video that I'll be editing that's going to be coming out on Saturday is a Christmas-style roast leg of lamb recipe, and it is amazing, and it is easy to customize, so you can do kind of the Christmassy spicing the way I did, or you can do something a little more traditional, or you can kind of customize it however you want based on how keto, carnivore, whatever you want to make it, and it's pretty easy to work with. So
yeah, it's really good too, because you know, lamb sometimes can have like that gamey kind of a taste, and your recipe does not, and it is delicious.
Yeah, we do a few things to kind of combat the gaminess, and I know a lot of places in the world think we're crazy in the United States that we don't eat lamb more often because it's a lot more popular meat other places. I think because we don't eat it nearly as much, I think a lot of times American lamb tends to be gamier in general. And, you know, maybe not. I haven't had lamb in other countries, but if so, we have a few things we can do to kind of combat that and just make it really nice and enjoyable and mild tasting meat.
Yeah, awesome. We'll be on the lookout for that recipe because it is delicious.
Absolutely.
Lynn is here, 22Q Cat. Yeah. She says, hi, Chris, Ash, and everyone. Can't wait to see what this is all about tonight.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. Carnivore K is in the house.
Hello, Carnivore K.
She says, hello, all. This is going to be good.
Yes, it is.
Mel Smith is here.
Hi, Mel.
Says, good morning from South Australia.
Wow, okay, so now Australia is probably one of the places where lamb might be more likely. I believe lamb is a more common meat in Australia based on what some other Aussies that watch the channel have said to us. So
I believe so. I'm also pretty sure it's either really late or really early where Mel is watching.
Yes, probably very, very, very early there, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Tanya B is here. Says hello, everyone.
Hello, Tanya.
People are saying they can hear and see us, which is always good. We were worried, just making sure. Marilda is here.
Hello, Marilda.
She says, good afternoon, Kirsten Ash.
Good to see you, Marilda.
22Q Catlin says, I see a pile of food.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be good.
Yes. Jennifer Lucas is in the house.
Well, hi, Jennifer.
She says, good evening, beautiful people. Laura says, hi, sounds yummy.
Oh, thank you, Laura. We're glad you're here.
And Janelle says, ooh, yay, I like lamb.
Yes, indeed.
Lots of people saying yum, yum, making their mouth water. Jay is here. Jay says, I've got leg of lamb roasting at the moment. We love lamb.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome, Jay. I'm so glad you are here. And if you have some leftovers, maybe this is an idea you could use those for.
Absolutely. And so Mel, our friend in Australia, says, yes, we love our lamb in Australia. It's about 10:30 a.m. here.
Yeah, okay. It was not as early as I would have expected it to be, which means you guys are a little even further ahead than I thought you were. So that means it's 10 a.m. tomorrow there, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's 10 a.m. yesterday or 10 a.m. today. I think it's 10 a.m. tomorrow.
So Mel can basically make this recipe for dinner, though.
That's right.
Tonight.
Right.
Later on, her time.
Right.
Great.
Tonight, her time. Tomorrow night, our time.
Ooh, the world is a big place.
It's a weird thing.
Jay says that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Mel says it's Wednesday here.
Okay.
So yeah, they're ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But you know, the reality is, living in the United States and then looking around to that side of the world, I get lost on which line it is where you cross over, and suddenly you're a different day.
Right.
So.
Carnivore K says, I'm probably the only person in the world that has never had lamb.
Oh, I don't know about that. I hadn't had it for a long time. And I mean, I had it, I guess, when I was a kid, but I didn't really remember it. I just knew that I had tried it. And it probably wasn't until I was in like high school or college that I had finally had it the first time. And I've only had it a few times. Like, it's not something I do regularly for us, mostly just because it tends to be expensive. But when I find it on sale now, since I've developed being able to do this kind of recipe, when I find it on sale, I will definitely be buying it more because it is fantastic.
22Q Cat says, lots of lamb lovers here, but I've never had lamb either. You're not the only one, okay?
Well, that's all right. Well, the nice thing is, too, you guys would be able to do this with something like London broil, some kind of like a beef that you would roast, or if you get like some kind of a roast beef, top round, bottom round, whatever. You would be able to do a very similar thing to it. Now, the fat content would be different, so it might come out with a different texture. You'd have to really be careful not to overcook it, but you can absolutely do this with beef as well as lamb.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did not have lamb until Chris and I started dating. And I think the first time he made it for me, it was a good number of years ago.
Yeah.
I remember having it, and I was like a bite or two in, and the gamey taste of it. I'm not a person that enjoys the gamey flavor of meat.
It was a rack of lamb, and it was a pretty strong one, and I did not know as much back then about how to deal with gamey flavors as I do now.
Yeah, so if you've never had lamb before, that's one of the reasons why I'm excited Chris did his Saturday recipe video that will be coming out this Saturday, showing y'all how he prepared this lamb, because it's a game changer.
Yep.
Because the taste of lamb itself is actually really good and something I really enjoy, and I think a lot of people do.
The funky gamey smell.
Yeah, you just got to get rid of the gaminess of it, because to me it just overpowers everything.
Right.
So if you've never had lamb, honestly, grab it on a good sale and make it. I mean, the way Chris does it is delicious, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's also now you've made this for me a couple times this way, and I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it's really not hard. It's just knowing the right steps.
And Janelle says Costco often has lamb roast, very inexpensive.
Yep, Costco does. We got ours at BJ's Wholesale. I'm sure Sam's probably does as well. Any of those bigger wholesale places like that tend to carry lamb because they get some more variety of meats.
Well, and getting one of the big lambs too, especially on sale. I mean, for us, that's a couple of meals.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at leftovers, and I mean, there'll be more. So I mean, you can get
I think it was about
meat.
$25 or so for this lamb. We've already eaten once. We have this plate here, and then there's more for a third meal easily.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a lot. Jennifer Lucas, it's so funny. She put game in quotation marks changer.
That's right.
Game
that's right.
changer, gamey.
That's right. That's right.
22Q Cat says, oh, okay, I'm out. I can't do gamey tasting meats, picky. Yeah, Lynn, I'm right there with you. Like venison, all that kind of stuff, I just can't do. But like I said, if you get it, just make the lamb the way Chris tells you to in his recipe video coming out this Saturday.
Yeah.
And I promise you, it will not taste gamey. Like, I love it. You got to do it the way Chris says to do it, though, or else forget it.
Yep, or you can get something like a roast beef, and you can do it that way.
Yeah, so use different meats.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think we're all caught up on comments really quick, though.
Cool.
We got like 43 people watching.
Yep.
And like 22 people have given us a thumbs up.
Oh, yeah. So that means half of them are slacking.
They're slacking,
Yep.
so.
Yep. If you guys can hit that thumbs up button for us, just let us know you're here, and it's free and is low carb to do so, and we appreciate it very much because it tells YouTube that we are here and we're doing something that matters, which I like to think we are, so.
Absolutely, yes. So share.
Yeah.
22Q Cat said, Ash, I will just stick with eating all the butter, LOL.
There you
Lynn,
go.
I'm with you, girl. We'll just eat our butter, live happily ever after.
That's right.
Yep,
That's
what
right.
we do. Cool. Well, what we cooking here, babe? What you got going? Show us what we do with this lamb.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on a skillet here to a medium heat because we're going to start sauteing some onions. Now, if you want to be really strict carnivore, not the ketovore thing, leave the onions out. But my wife likes the onions and things, and so I'm going to put some onions in this. So I have some leftover leg of lamb that was roasted. You'll see that video on Saturday. But I have taken that lamb, and while it is cold, this is something you can do this with lamb, chicken, pork, beef, it doesn't matter. When it's cold, all the fat solidifies. and the proteins solidify. So you can slice it really thin like this, no problem at all. So I've sliced this up really thin. And the problem with something like this when it comes to reheating is it tends to dry out because you reheat it too far and it just becomes a problem. So cutting it up small like this means we can cook it more gently. I don't have to reheat it as intensely to get heat all the way through it, which means I'm not going to dry out a bunch of it trying to get the center of it warm, because I can just heat it all the way through quickly. And we can also add some sauces or butter or different kinds of things to help keep it nice and moist. I also have Chaffles that I made. I linked the waffle iron down below that I have because it makes these kinds of square that I can cut into 4 small waffles, or I can fold them over like this and I can make cheesesteak sandwiches by just leaving them whole. I'm working to perfect this recipe. It is not where I want it yet because, let's be honest, I haven't made chaffles because everybody else in the world has made chaffles, and there's no reason for me to do chaffles when everybody else already does chaffles. But then I got thinking about it, and I've been asked multiple times if different elements of my recipes could be used with a waffle maker instead of making pancakes or tortillas or various kinds of things. So I went ahead and got a waffle maker, and I thought, you know what, let's see if we can do something about chaffles. And so I've got my own kind of recipe started here. I'm trying to fix all of the things that I think are wrong with chaffles. They're cool, but they kind of become one-dimensional and they're only really usable for a certain approach. And I've basically seen 2 things where you use lots of cheese and they taste like cheese, or you use absolutely no cheese and then you're doing things like almond flour, coconut flour, whatever, and it's no longer something a carnivore would use. So I'm just trying to come up with how I can do some different things in the chaffle style that would be my own contribution to the world of chaffles, and my wife does not care for things like egg and cheese flavor. So I'm trying to come up with something that she would enjoy that doesn't just taste like an omelet with a bunch of cheese.
Can I make a confession?
Yeah.
And that's all right if people want to make fun of me. I own it. I've never had a chaffle in my life.
Yep.
Up until yesterday, I think it
Yep.
was, or the
Yep.
day before when you gave me a bite of an experiment.
Yep.
I have never had a chaffle. I even called them something different.
Yep.
That's why I don't have a cooking channel,
Right.
and Chris does. But yeah, I've never even had one. So this is new territory for me, guys.
Yeah, so if we can find a chaffle recipe that Ash really enjoys, I will be very, very happy, and I will share that with you guys, and hopefully I'll get that done for you sooner than later. But this is where it stands currently with this particular recipe. This, even as it is going to be fantastic. It's just a little cheesy compared to what I'd like it to be, but it's still really good. So I took these, I made them, folded them in half while they were still warm because, surprise, there's beef gelatin in these, and I folded them while they were still warm so that they didn't dry out and get cold and then break on me when I try to fold them. And then after they cooled a little bit, I stuck them in a Ziploc bag to let the steam that is still coming off of them while they're still somewhat warm keep them soft, because I don't want these to be crispy chaffles, I want these to be soft, bready chaffles. So that's what those are there. I've got a half of a small red onion here. I'm going to add that onion like I told you. I've got butter to cook the onion and to cook the lamb over here, and I have some cheese in a bowl back here, as well as some heavy whipping cream we'll use to kind of add that sauce together. So this is a cool idea that you can use for any leftovers that you might have: beef, chicken, pork, lamb, veal. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can just, any kind of a meat that's cold that you want to heat up, but you don't want to completely overdo it. You can do this, slice it thin, and then we're going to cook it in the skillet just like I'm about to do, and I'll show you. And by the way, I need to shout out Mr. Brett Robinson from Chili Pepper Forge. You guys will be seeing this knife that I'm holding in my video coming up on Saturday. He's a blacksmith, and he made this knife custom for me, handmade, and it's this beautiful Damascus steel, and it is just amazing. He makes the handle by hand and just all of these traditional blacksmithing techniques. It's an incredible knife. It is beautiful. Chili Pepper Forge. I forgot to put his link to his stuff down in the description box, but after this video, I will go back and I will add Chili Pepper Forge's info. If you guys want something really special for someone that's custom made and you're looking for a really cool gift, this is amazing. And when you make a knife, when he makes a knife for you like this, he also sends it with a stand that you can proudly display in your kitchen. So it is absolutely beautiful, and he has the little Buck Owens red, white, and blue stripe in the handle there for me, like my guitars.
Actually going to ask, can I get a close-up of
Yeah.
that too? Because I think the red, white, and blue, just like on your guitars, is so cool. And
very, very cool,
just
and the blade is beautiful.
Yeah.
So super high quality, very sharp, very well balanced. an incredible tool in the kitchen. So if you're looking for some kind of special thing, they do take a while because again, it's all handmade. So it's not like you're gonna order it and have it in 3 days kind of thing. But if you want something like this, I'm sure he would appreciate the business. I'll go back afterwards and put his info in the description. So I'm just gonna slice up the red onion really quickly. Nothing particularly fancy here. We're just slicing red onion. And I'm doing it carefully because this is a big knife and it's very sharp, and that's a small onion. Okay, so we're gonna take our butter, put it over medium heat. We're gonna melt that down, use that to cook our onions, and then eventually add in our lamb as well. And this is one that's gonna come together relatively quickly. The thing about this is understanding using cold meat from the refrigerator to slice thin like that. You can even do frozen meat and slice it thin if you really needed to. If you wanted to get it super, super ultra thin, that's a way to do that too. But we're just gonna take thin sliced meat and we're gonna cook it gently to warm it up, add a cheese element, like a cheese sauce kind of a vibe, which also helps keep it nice and tender and moist because we're adding a bit of a buffer, keeps it from drying out and overcooking when we do that. And we're just gonna use something simple like a chaffle that is not the perfect recipe for me yet, but I think it's really good. But I'm very, very picky about my recipes, so I'm not quite at a point where I'm totally happy with that just yet, but we'll get it there.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna add my red onion in, and you could use a white onion, you could use whatever you want. If you like mushrooms, if you like bell pepper, like any of that kind of stuff on cheesesteaks, go ahead, dice it up, add it in, all works the same. I do not use mushrooms because my wife is allergic, so I would really rather not make her sick. I think that's not a loving thing to do to her, so.
I appreciate that. Thank
Yep,
you.
so I'm not gonna use any mushrooms, and I don't have any bell peppers or anything else on hand, but I think just the onions will be really nice for her in this. And remember, when you saute onions, or any veggie like that for that matter that you're trying to soften, a little sprinkle of salt goes a long way because it helps pull out the extra moisture. And it starts to cook those onions down better, and then they soften and then they caramelize, and that's what we're looking to do. So use just a little pinch of salt. Be careful not to get too much. If you already have a bunch of other things that are seasoned, you don't need to add a whole bunch of salt in there. That's great. Just be careful so you don't get too much, but a little bit does help a lot. So I'm just kind of breaking these apart into little pieces, and I'm just going to saute these until they are soft and just beginning to caramelize, and then I'm going to add the lamb. If you guys have questions or comments or anything, please drop them down below, and Ash can let me know.
Absolutely. Would you like to say hey to some folks?
I would love to.
Let's do it. Kat Diamond is here.
Hi, Kat.
She says those waffles look good.
Well, thank you kindly. I think they're pretty good for a recipe that's on its way.
Yeah. I will say when I tried the test batch yesterday, I thought they did have really good flavor. I know you're still working on them a bit, but
Yep.
I'm kind of excited. That was my first experience with a chaffle, and
Yeah,
I
we're
liked
getting
it.
them. We're getting them there. I'm gonna add a little black pepper to these too, because that'll be nice.
Oh, I love a little black pepper. Marilda's saying that she wasn't sure on where the thumbs up is, and I know some people in the comments are awesome and they answered.
Yep.
But just in case you guys are wondering, if you close your chat, you'll see an X on the right-hand side of your screen. You close that, then you'll see where you can thumbs up the video, and then just go back on into the chat.
Reopen that chat.
Yeah, and we appreciate anybody who gives the video a thumbs up and shares it with their friends and family. It means a lot.
Yep.
So thank y'all for
Absolutely.
that. Let's see, lots of people saying hey to each other, which we absolutely love here.
Yeah.
Carnivore K says we eat lots of deer around here.
This would be a great thing to do with venison. If you have a good like venison roast recipe, you know, where you get like the big chunks and you get a nice venison roast, and you have venison left over, or even if you don't have it left over, you just want to intentionally do this, take some venison and just slice it super, super thin and do exactly what I'm doing right here. Awesome.
I will say, you know who in our household loves venison?
The dog.
Our dog. Oh my gosh. I put it in her food from time to time, and she loses her mind.
Oh yeah.
Loves
yeah,
it.
She goes wild for it.
22Q Cat has a great question.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious about this myself. She says, just wondering, could you just dehydrate the lamb? Maybe it wouldn't taste as strong that way?
So you can a little bit. It might help a little bit. It's going to get rid of some of those off smells. you're also going to get something kind of dry as a result. So what I would suggest doing is what I do in the video, which is actually using a dry brine method, which does allow it to sort of off-gas some of those really gamey smells, because most of the gaminess comes in your nose. It's not so much on your palate. There's a little bit on your palate, but it's also in your nose. And if you've ever had a sinus infection and realize you can't taste anything very well because you can't breathe through your nose anymore and you can't smell anything, that's why, because your nose and your palate are very connected to each other, and when you can't smell anything, it's real hard to taste anything either. So if you dry brine like I do, and then some of the seasonings that I use, it really combats that gamey flavor and gamey smell, because it takes a lot of that away and it lets the lamb really get rid of some of those smells. So our onions are caramelized, so I'm just going to put in all of my sliced up lamb along with the onions and the butter.
Yeah.
And we're going to toss that all together.
Good question. Marilda is so sweet. Says, Chris, you are so precious the way you show your adoration for Ash. Continue the honeymoon.
Well, we certainly try. I'm a very blessed man. I do what I can to take care of her.
No, you're very sweet. Lynn says, oops, at Janelle, I never tried dehydrating anything. Didn't know that. Lynn, me neither. I'm with you. I had no idea, but it's a great question.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. I've also had lamb jerky before, actually, and I will say the way Chris prepares lamb, like I said, is the only way I can really eat it because of the gaminess. Like I've had lamb jerky, I've had lamb at restaurants, when I've tried it out before, and yeah, it's the way Chris makes it, it really makes a difference in the overall taste of it. It's a big game changer for sure.
The thing when you dehydrate something like that too is you kind of concentrate the flavors down, and part of the gaminess of lamb, if it's a really gamey piece of lamb especially, it tends to come from the lamb fat. The fat holds on to a lot of those more gamey flavors pretty intensely. So if you dehydrate something, you're not rendering out the fat nearly as much, so you can actually concentrate that gamey flavor if you're not careful. So when you roast it though, it also helps. I'm roasting it on a rack, and that fat drips down into the base of the cooking vessel, and it lets some of that extra fat render out, and it takes a little bit more of the gaminess with it when you do that as well.
That's awesome.
And so I put a little pinch of salt over this just because I want to add a little more savoriness. I'm just going to give it a taste and see where we are. It just tastes like a really good steak at this point.
Yep.
A little bit different than steak, but not gamey in any way. It smells a little gamey when I'm cooking it, just a little. But when you taste it, you don't taste that at all. It's actually really, really nice. I'm going to add a little more black pepper, because when I made the original recipe, it didn't have any black pepper. I might have used a little bit. It wasn't much. But I think this just needs a little bit of black pepper. And then we're going to put cheese sauce together. I'll show you how we do that.
Oh, yum. Richard Williams is here. And
well, hello, my friend.
Hello, neighbor from Copper Hill. Janelle is actually getting a dehydrator under the Christmas tree.
Yeah, there we go.
Says that she's telling Lynn that her dehydrator is about 50 years old.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
So let me tell you guys something. I'm not going to tell you what the recipe is, but there's a video coming at the end of this month that's going to be a complete game changer, because I've never seen anyone in the carnivore world do it, and you guys are going to want a dehydrator for it. That's all I'm going to say.
Ask Santa. Put in
Ask
the word.
Santa for a dehydrator and say, listen, Chris Cookin' Nashville is doing this incredible thing, and I don't know what it is, but I need a dehydrator, because you're gonna have to have it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, big time. Patricia Hoffman says that you gorgeous knife.
Yes, it is beautiful. It's very well balanced. It's got a beautiful handle, and the blade is full length of the handle, so it goes all the way through it. So it's a full tang knife. Wonderful. I'm going to take some shredded cheese, by the way. This is left over from making the Chaffles, and then a little bit of extra that I had in the refrigerator. I'm just going to go ahead and mix the shredded cheese in. Yum. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt the shredded cheese all through the meat, and then I'm going to adjust the texture of it with heavy cream back here. So what I'm essentially doing is melting the cheese into it. and then slowly incorporating a little bit of heavy cream to turn that into kind of a sauce, but that way I'm not overcooking anything and I don't split a bunch of things. This is a great way. Now the cheese sauce does not have a long shelf life. It's not like you can make this and then stick it in the fridge and use it tomorrow. But in the moment, like I'm doing right here, you can do a cheese sauce this way and it will not split on you very easily because again, you're adding that buffer of the meat in there so it doesn't cook it too fast and too hard, which keeps it from splitting away from the cream. So I've got the cheese melted in and I'm gonna put in just a few tablespoons of cream here. Kind of think visually just enough to kind of coat everything lightly. And then I'm gonna stir that all together and that cream and the melted cheese will all start to combine. And then I'll just add a little more cream and a little more cream and a little more cream as necessary until I get the texture that I want. But you can see the gooiness beginning to happen. And so I'm kind of working that cream and cheese in together just until the cheese loosens up enough to be more like a thick cheese sauce and less like a gooey cheese and stringy kind of cheese. So we're gonna get just enough mixed in there. And because we're doing that, the cream and the cheese are a buffer that keeps us from overcooking the meat. So the meat helps us cook the cheese and the cheese helps us cook the meat and everything works together great. It's a great way of making an in-pan cheese sauce on something like this really easily.
That's great. Susie actually just said, great tip on cutting meat thin for reheating.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. It makes your life a lot easier. So you don't get those big, like beautiful chunks of meat like come off of a roast when you do it that way, but it also makes it really enjoyable and easy to do. So I'm willing to sacrifice the presentation on the reheat to have more of the actual enjoyment of the meat at its highest quality.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So, and it also makes meal prep nice because then you can make a large roast or large amount of meat and then you can use your leftovers, not waste anything, which is always nice.
Janelle, one of our awesome rockstar moderators, actually dropped the Facebook page for Chili Pepper Ford.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Janelle.
Yeah, you are on it. So sweet of you.
Brett is awesome, and you guys should totally reach out to him. And if you're interested in something like one of these handmade blacksmith knives, not only is it a cool, amazing quality tool for the kitchen, it comes with a really neat story.
Yeah.
And if you go and check out Chili Pepper Forge, he does a lot of work with like veterans and like first responder types or whatever, like helping them get in and learn blacksmithing and like they make their first knife, kind of as like almost a therapy kind of a thing. I think it's in partnership with Wounded Warrior or something. I have to double check the details on that, but it's something like that. So I mean, he just does great things for other people and uses his business to put good things into the world. So we appreciate him very, very much.
Absolutely. Mary Kay Wesling is in the house.
Hi, Mary Kay.
She says, hey, everyone from Kansas City, Missouri. Today is my birthday.
Well, happy birthday to you. I have some cheesy lamb here for you whenever you're ready to come over.
Y'all do us a favor and tell Mary Kay happy birthday in the comments below. That's awesome.
Yes, please.
Thanks for spending part of your birthday with us.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's see.
Now, Mary Kay, what are you, 21, 22 today?
Oh, maybe 25. You don't know.
You never know.
My mom's been 29 for like a good 25 years.
Well, there you go.
We're real proud of her. She's funny. That's awesome. Let's see here. Lots of people are saying it looks really good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I made it extra cheesy tonight because it just sounded good.
Oh, yeah. Rockin' Keto Amy's in the house.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Saying hey to everybody. Man, Stephen Stone is here.
Hi, Stephen.
Stephen, great question. He says, so, what is a chaffle?
A chaffle is, by definition, in the keto and carnivore world currently, a chaffle is a waffle that is made out of eggs and cheese in like kind of a carnivore-ish sort of a way. And then a lot of people also make them out of, they use some cheese, but they use like almond flour, coconut flour, like those kinds of things to make the keto kind of thing. So it's a keto or a carnivore version of a waffle, usually made with cheese. High protein, high fat, which is really good. My issue with chaffles is that every recipe is based on so much cheese that a lot of times they taste like cheese, or if they're not based on lots of cheese, and they don't taste like cheese, then they tend to also have a bunch of keto ingredients like almond flour and coconut flour, which is cool for people that like that kind of stuff. But if that's not really your jam, you're kind of left wondering how to make your own kind of chaffle. So, and some of them, depending on the recipe, can also kind of taste just like a cheese omelet. And it just doesn't really do it for me. And I definitely know that won't do it for my wife. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can up the chaffle game and fix the things that I think are wrong with chaffles as a concept. Not really wrong, but just they were great at the time, and it's time that we update them, because chaffles were like a 3 to 5 year ago thing, and everyone has moved on from chaffles. I want to circle back around and see if they can't be made better so that they're worth a resurgence. So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, great question.
All right, so our cheese sauce has come together. It is nice and thick, and you can see
It's good. I'm actually going to see if I can get a close-up.
Yeah,
for the
go
folks,
ahead.
Because that looks so yummy.
Yeah, so you can see it is very cheese saucy now. So I'm just going to turn it on low to make sure it stays warm, but not cook it to any higher of a temperature than it already is, because it's nice and runny, but still thick right now.
Yum.
So I don't want it to get any drier or weird, or I don't want it to split by cooking it too hot or anything. So if you incorporate things like that slowly in the pan, you can get this nice cheese sauce thing going on.
I'd like to add that it smells amazing.
It does smell great. Okay, so now all we have to do is plate up, and the heat of this will warm up the chaffle at room temperature, and everybody will hopefully live happily ever after. At least that's the goal.
That's what we're aiming here for, folks. Great way to use up leftovers, huh?
It is, especially if you have, like I said, you know, these kinds of meats where you're afraid of overcooking them if you cook them too far. And this is a great way to do it. So we put it on the big chaffle and we roll it up like a cheesesteak. And like any good cheesesteak, it is going to be messy when you eat it. It might be a sort of a knife and fork kind of a sandwich, honestly, just because of how cheesy it is. Or if you don't care, you can just get super messy and enjoy it thoroughly.
I'm more of the messy kind of gal, personally.
Okay. So all we need to do is figure out if it turned out tasting good. Hopefully as good or better than it looks. And there's no fancy plating on this one tonight because, let's be honest, it's supposed to be a cheesesteak. Cheesesteaks are not fancy things. They are not fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fantastic way to use up leftover steak or lamb or anything like that.
Yummy.
It's fantastic. The only thing I want to improve is the chaffle recipe. And this is my thing with chaffles. When they cool down, you can really taste the cheese, and you get an almost slightly grainy texture like cheese. I would really like to see if I can improve on that. I don't know if I can, but it's worth a try. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see what we can do, and if we can't make chaffles come together in a brand new special way. But that is incredible. And if you like chaffles, you'll absolutely love this recipe.
So awesome. Smells good.
It's so good. So good.
Dustin is here from Keto Simple.
Hello, Dustin. I saw your text message come in right before we went live. I'm so sorry that I did not respond. I am good. We've had a very busy day, and for whatever reason, my phone, I took it off of the Wi-Fi, and suddenly it notified me of all these messages I've been getting today, and then I had to restart it, and it was a whole thing. So anyway, thank you for checking in. I'm good, and looking forward to us doing Keto Crusade coming soon.
Whoop, whoop. That's going to be fun. Dustin is also a total sweetheart, and he gave you a $5 super chat.
Oh, you, my brother, are very sweet.
He says, happy Tuesday, sending hugs.
Well, thank you very, very kindly. If you guys don't know, Dustin at Keto Simple goes live right after we do. So here in probably about 30, 35 minutes or so, he should be going live. And you should totally go on over to the Keto Simple channel and watch, because I'll be in the comment section over there saying hello.
Absolutely. Always look forward to their live streams. In fact, this Sunday, we did not watch Dustin's Sunday morning live.
Yep.
Felt very weird to me, and I did not know what day of the week it was.
Well, we slept in because we were exhausted, and I know Dustin said he was super tired, so his live didn't go as long as normal, and so that's why he was done by the time we got up. And it was weird to have a Sunday where we were not part of his Sunday morning live.
Yeah, it's very odd. Awesome. Well, let's see who else we got here.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lukey says, I've been leery to try making lamb. I'm looking forward to learning how.
Yeah, it's really, really good, and especially done this way, the cooking it the second time like this, I mean, it's really nice. Really, really nice. I'm going to be interested to see what Ash thinks of this when she tries it here after we're done. But
yeah, well, and just remember, y'all, this Saturday at 9 a.m. Central, that lamb video that Chris is putting out will go live, and check it out. And honestly, if you're looking for something to do for like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day dinner, perfect. It's very special. It's just awesome. Yeah.
And like I said, if you just can't stomach the lamb thing, do it with beef, and you can still do the same thing. You might just need to add some fat.
Yeah, I'm actually going to request that you do it with beef, because I think that would be delicious.
Yeah, next time they throw some roasts on sale, I'll have to get one.
Mel Smith said, just pulled a lamb leg out of the freezer for dinner tonight.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, awesome. Dolores is here.
Hi, Dolores.
She says, can you recommend a dehydrator that works well?
Yep, absolutely. Kosori makes a 10 rack. They make, I believe, a 7 rack, and I think they make it's like a 3 or a 5 rack. They have different sizes, but Kosori, C-O-S-O-R-I. That's the one I have. I have the 10 rack, and it does a fantastic job. My dad actually just got one as well, because his dehydrator was just not cutting it for him anymore, and he grows like herbs and stuff, and then he likes to dehydrate for them to use, and a bunch of other things. He wants to get into like jerky and sausages and all different kinds of stuff that he would use dehydrator for. His just wasn't cutting it, so he got a Kosori.
Yeah.
They're great. And in fact, if you go down to my description box, there's an Amazon link. You can click that. I think there's a Kosori in my shop, but if there's not, click that Amazon link and sign in, and then just go search Kosori dehydrator. And if you're looking for one, pick out whatever you want, and as long as you get it within 24 hours of clicking that link, I get credit for that. It's a free way for you to support the channel. It doesn't change the price for you at all, but it helps me out a little bit, and I appreciate those kinds of things from you guys so very much.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So a couple people are talking about how they actually have like combos. So maybe they have like an air fryer in their kitchen that's supposed to dehydrate and whatnot. Right. And Lynn actually asked a great question. Speaking of all this, she says, Chris, do you know anything about the air fryer dehydrator combos? Just wondering if it's better to buy a separate dehydrator, or
right.
What are your thoughts on that?
It is better to have a separate dehydrator.
Okay.
And the reason for that is a couple of things. Number one, an air fryer is meant to be an air fryer. Doing dehydrating requires more physics elements to it than just blowing hot air and keeping a temperature regulated. So those dehydrators, they can do it. There's nothing wrong with them. They do an okay job. But if you actually want to get a really decent quality result, a dehydrator that is dedicated to being a dehydrator, the way that it is designed, it has kind of these open pockets where the fan can blow air in a way that circulates really evenly throughout the dehydrator, and it has air spaces where that hot air can escape, so more air can be brought in. When you keep something inside of something like, say, an Instant Pot, and you're just, circulating hot air in there, even if it's the right temperature, it's retaining a lot more of the moisture because of the way an Instant Pot is designed. So If you have an Instapot, it's meant to keep things in because they pressure cook and whatever. And even if you put the air fryer thing on there and then you're using the dehydrate function, it's going to work, but not that well. It's going to take a lot longer. You're going to get more uneven dehydration, and you're probably going to find the space is limiting. And when you dehydrate things, surface area is kind of the whole key. You get a lot more of that out of a dedicated dehydrator. So can it be done? Yes. Would you be happier if you had a dedicated dehydrator? Absolutely. Yep.
Cool. Great question.
So,
Thank
I hate
you.
to say it, but spending the money is worth the money.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Jennifer Lucas has a question. What can I add to cheese sauce to prevent breaking?
So if you're not against doing things like sodium citrate, food grade sodium citrate, you can get it on Amazon. Click my Amazon link and go find it. And you can get some, you can use a little bit of sodium citrate, and that is going to help the cheese bind. It breaks down the proteins in a different way where it bonds with the moisture, and it will not split. It changes the protein structure. Now, sodium citrate, I know a lot of people freak out about it. It is just a salt. I know a lot of us think of it as like a chemical and additive, and we associate it with things like American cheese that we think are really highly processed. The sodium citrate is not the problem. The other junk that they then add into processed cheese is the problem, like soybean oil. You're not adding any of that in. If you take good quality cheese and use some sodium citrate, it will help it be stretchy, gooey. You can make the nacho cheese style thing or a cheese sauce that won't split or any of that kind of stuff. Otherwise, doing the technique I just did here is a really great way to keep your cheese sauce from splitting because it does not get too hot. Like, this has been sitting here, and I've just got this on a low heat, and although it is firmed up, it has not split because I don't have the heat high enough to cause it to split. Now, in an hour or two, that would absolutely be grainy and it would start to split, but I'm not gonna let it go that long. I'm gonna eat it before then.
Cool.
So that's really your two options.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Kat Diamond says, I just got a Kasori dehydrator and I love it.
Yep. They're great.
And Janelle, again, awesome Rockstar moderator, put the link to the Kasori dehydrator that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you. And then Low Carb Spin is here.
Hi, Karen.
Says, evening all. Lots of people wishing Miss Mary Kay a happy birthday.
Yeah.
I love this. Laura says, Chris, the other day you said the Ninja was not Vortex. Possibly my issue with grainy pudding. Pulled out the old Black & Decker. Few buttons worked. Perfect pudding. Thank you.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. It's just understanding the physics of why certain things work. The reason that I use a blender instead of a food processor to make the mashed potatoes or the pudding, although the food processor would be easier because you wouldn't have to be pushing from the top for a thick liquid or a thick paste, really. Like that, the reason I use the blender is because you have to be able to pull it into a vortex because the physics of that and how that explodes those proteins and fully blends it down smooth is what we're going after, and a food processor just won't do that. The Ninja blender is designed like a multi-level food processor. So although it works to blend most things, and it still does a great job as a blender in most circumstances, when you're doing it with something like proteins that do not easily break apart, it's a lot less effective. Like if you put something like, let's say we put strawberries into a Ninja food processor, or into a Ninja blender that's kind of like the multi-layered food processor. The cells of strawberries are filled with liquid. So when you go to blend up a strawberry, it pulverizes pretty easily because it's soft and it's liquidy and all of those cells explode, and then that kind of creates a liquid thing going on. And it works really, really well. When you try to do something like that with protein, like egg, especially egg that's been cooked firm, you have all these grainy bits of protein that have to be put under really high pressure, which is what a vortex does, right? Like you get that kind of like sucked in, and then you get the low pressure at the center, and it explodes things out, and it blends everything up with severe force. So the reason when a tornado hits a house and it has like that real tight cone at the bottom, the house kind of explodes, right? It's the same kind of concept. It's a vortex, and that's the way they work. They're meant to work that way. That's why they blend the way they do and why they mix things together. And that's why a high-powered blender works far better.
Cool. I want to read a couple of these comments back to back because they're just super funny.
Okay.
So clearly in the bottom of the screen, you guys can see Chris's chaffle on the plate. So Rock and Keto Amy says, is that a plate-sized chaffle? And Dustin at Keto Simple says, Amy, I thought you asked if that was a plus size chaffle. I about fell out of my chair. And then Lynn says, now that's one big chaffle. So I think, yeah, that's what I call a Chris size chaffle.
Yes. This is my chaffle.
Yep. And if he made it any smaller than that, I would know that something happened and
Something was wrong.
Aliens abducted my husband because that is the Chris size chaffle. That's
you know, listen, rather than me eating 4 chaffles, I'd rather just make one and enjoy the whole thing.
You're doing great, babe.
That's what I do.
I think that it's hilarious, though.
That's what I do. And like I said, I linked my waffle maker. It's a Dash 4 waffle maker. But because of the way it's designed, you can leave all 4 of them attached and have the big plate-sized chaffle, or the big plus-sized chaffle, if you will. And you can just use it for these kinds of things if you only want to make one. Or you can make the whole thing and then you can cut it in 4s and you got 4 of them. And I don't care if my bread is square or round shaped when I'm using a chaffle for something. So
yeah,
doesn't matter to me.
Cool.
But that's linked in the description box if you guys would like to check it out. It's also a pretty good price for the size waffle maker it is, and it does a great job. And I can make 4 of these small ones at a time or one big one at a time. It does a great job.
Yeah, it sure does. Lots of people are saying how delicious that looks.
Yeah.
Lots of people are saying super yummy. News and Info Joe says, could you send some of that smell up here to northern Iowa? Looks
I'll see
yummy.
if I can box it up and send it your way.
Yeah. Mary Kay Wesling says, that would be good over carnivore mashed potatoes.
Yes, this would also be a great thing to do. You could make carnivore mashed potatoes and put this kind of a mixture over it and get kind of like a steak and cheesy gravy thing going on with your mashed potatoes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Rockin' Keto Amy says, I bought a meat grinder to make CCN gyros.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Honestly,
yummy.
this would be a great way to use leftover gyro meat as well.
Oh, yum. Yeah, absolutely.
You could totally do that.
And 20GQ Cat says, I love your sciencey answers, Chris. That's just how nerdy I am.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I've spent a long time being obsessed with why these things work the way they do, so I'm glad someone's enjoying it.
You know, I've always said, though, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
I think one of the cool things is when you're able to kind of explain why something works the way it does. It just kind of means you're able to be more confident and better in the kitchen or other areas. So, yeah.
Yep. It's also why people, when they follow a recipe and they don't follow it to the exact letter, or they try to substitute things, or they try to use different tools or whatever, tend not to get the same results, and then they're not sure why. It's because you don't have the knowledge of why the recipe was written that way. Which is why I always tell people, follow the recipe exactly, use all the same tools, everything the first time. And if you want to modify from there, you can. But always follow it the first time, because if you follow it exactly, you're going to have the highest chance of it being successful. And even if you follow it exactly, you might still mess up without realizing it. And it may take a few times to get it right. It's just how cooking works. So,
absolutely. Blue is here. He says, hey, everyone. And Patricia says, would someone link the gyro video? I'm sure one of our awesome moderators would drop that link in here. No problem.
I'm sure, yes. I have the gyro video, and then I have the flatbread video that I did, which is what I served that gyro on top of to make the actual like gyro style sandwich.
And they were delicious. I remember eating those a long time ago, and they were super yum. And of course, see, there's Janelle with the links because she's great. She's like literally the greatest in the world.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Janelle.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Jennifer Lucas says, Chris isn't a chef. He's an alchemist with a little wizard emoji.
I'm something. I am something. I'm just trying to figure out how to make good food and bring you guys along with me.
He's just Chris. He's just Chrising it. Just Chrising it.
That's what I do.
Awesome. Well, baby doll, I think that's it. I think we're all caught up on comments. Is there anything we need to tell folks about?
I don't think so. We did not have a Monday morning motivational yesterday because I'm working on a special project. I'm going to tell you guys more about that. It's actually a multi-layered project. So one of the things I'm working on right now is I'm writing both an ebook that's going to be an intro to keto carnivore for people who are brand new to this way of life, know nothing about it, and then I'm going to be sending those people to various resources, both from myself and from other people that we value, Dr. Barry, Keto Chow, you know, these different kinds of places to give people kind of a starter guide and places they can go to find answers, as well as my community so that they can connect with all of you and my channel with the recipes and all this stuff. So I'm doing that. I'm working on the community and all the different things that are going to be attached to that. And then this will eventually lead us to, whenever we figure out how we're going to do all of this, a cookbook in the future. And there's going to be a newsletter coming from the website on just like a once a week kind of basis. If you guys haven't yet, please go to my website, sign up on my contact page. You can sign up there, subscribe for my newsletter, because those emails will start coming out here in the new year, and there will be additional information, just a way to stay connected there that I think will be really cool. So we've been working on a lot of projects. We have not been idle. There's a lot of stuff coming. And then we are also going to be doing a Keto Crusade on December 22nd, I believe it is, at 7 p.m. Central, which is 8 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be the second episode of Keto Crusade with myself, Victor at Southern Keto, and Dustin at Keto Simple. And Dustin's kind of taken point on this one, so it's got some really great info that we're going to discuss, and I think it's going to be a great time. We would love for you guys to mark your calendars and tune in. We have the Saturday video coming. I also have a little surprise Christmas recipe, a little keto recipe coming. That'll be coming soon, either later this week or early next week. And I think that's everything. Did I forget anything?
No, honey, I think you mentioned all the stuff.
Okay.
I wanted to say though really quick, I thought this was just super cute.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are talking about how you're just a wizard in the kitchen. And Evelyn actually says, if you watch Dr. Barry, you heard about it. LOL.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. I got a very kind double shout out actually from Dr. Barry and Nisha on their Monday Night Live last night. And they are wonderful, sweet, amazing people. If you were in the tribe, I'm doing a private stream, private cooking thing in Dr. Barry's private group this coming Saturday. So I do some, he and Nisha have asked me to do some private stuff in the group for the tribe members. So if you're a member of the tribe, I'll be doing that this Saturday at 2 Central Time. And if you're not a member of the tribe, you should totally go over to the PhD community and you should consider joining, because it's an awesome community and it's great to have access to all of the help from like the coaches and the extra sort of just medical assurance that, you know, you're getting this information from a doctor and a nurse and all of their vetted coaches and, you know, a community of people who have gone through these different things themselves. And it's a very active place and very wonderful people over there that are super supportive. So if you're not a part of the tribe, I would highly recommend you consider it. And if you are, I'll see you guys over there on at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Cool. Awesome, baby doll.
So,
I think that's everything then.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to keep working on this Chaffles recipe. I'm going to try to get it where I want, but go ahead and use this technique. Give yourselves the best chance of enjoying your leftover steak or lamb or chicken or any of those kinds of things, because it all works the same way. And it's just a really cool way to enjoy those leftovers, which is budget friendly and convenient and helps with meal planning and all these different things. So appreciate you guys being here. All my links are down below. As always, we love every single one of you guys. This is Chris Cooking Nashville. You guys eat your meat, especially if it looks like a lamb cheesesteak chaffle. Love your life. We'll see you here in the kitchen for a bunch more crazy live streams, recipes, up in the cave for a whole bunch of interviews and interesting things. We're going to be online with things like books and who knows what else. So thank you guys for being here and supporting. We'll see you soon.
Bye.